Nathan Cross had always been a man of patterns. At 44, he approached life with the same methodical precision that made him one of the most sought-after cybersecurity consultants on the East Coast. His corner office overlooked downtown Seattle, where corporate executives paid premium rates for his expertise in digital forensics and catching the kinds of people who thought they were smarter than the systems they tried to exploit. Another day, another data breach, Nathan muttered to himself as he reviewed the morning's security alerts. His fingers moved across 3 monitors with practiced efficiency, analyzing network traffic patterns that would look like meaningless code to most people. To Nathan, they told stories of corporate espionage, insider threats, and digital deception. His phone buzzed with a text from Victoria. "Working late again tonight. Another training seminar for the new pharmaceutical protocols. Don't wait up. Love you." Nathan stared at the message longer than necessary. Victoria Cross, his wife of 16 years, had been attending a lot of training seminars lately. As a pharmaceutical sales representative for Global Pharma Solutions, continuing education was part of her job, but the frequency had increased dramatically over the past 8 months. He pulled up a calendar application and began cross-referencing. Victoria's seminars didn't align with the industry conferences he could verify through his corporate database access. Nathan had learned to trust his instincts during his years in military intelligence before transitioning to corporate security. Something felt off. "Dad, Mom's working late again?" Mason, their 14-year-old son, appeared in the doorway of Nathan's home office. At 14, Mason was already showing the analytical mind that ran in the Cross family. "Looks like it," Nathan replied, minimizing his work screens. "Pizza night? Can we get the good kind this time? Not the budget stuff Mom always orders?" Mason's comment struck Nathan as odd. Victoria had never been particularly frugal about food purchases. "Sure thing, go tell your sister." As Mason thundered up the stairs to get 11-year-old Lily, Nathan opened a different application, their family's financial management system. He had built their digital infrastructure himself, implementing bank-level security protocols. Every transaction, every account, every financial movement in their household flowed through systems he designed and monitored. It was time for his quarterly financial audit, a habit that had served their family well over the years. Nathan believed in the Reagan principle: trust, but verify, especially when it came to money. The professional investigator. Nathan's background made him uniquely qualified to spot deception. 15 years in military intelligence had taught him to follow digital breadcrumbs across enemy networks. His transition to corporate cybersecurity had refined those skills, helping Fortune 500 companies identify insider threats and corporate espionage. His specialty was catching people who thought they were smarter than the systems they were trying to manipulate. Corporate executives embezzling funds, employees selling trade secrets, sales managers inflating expense reports. Nathan had seen every variation of professional betrayal imaginable. What he hadn't expected was to use those same skills at home. Victoria's emotional distance had been subtle but persistent. She used to ask about his day, his clients, his challenges. Now their conversations focused on logistics: who was picking up the kids, what bills needed paying, whose turn it was to handle the grocery shopping. But Nathan didn't operate on emotion. He operated on data. "Daddy, are you going to order the pizza or just stare at your computer all night?" Lily had inherited her mother's directness, along with her father's impatience with inefficiency. "Sorry, sweetheart. What do you want on yours?" "Pepperoni. And can you make sure they don't burn it this time?" As Nathan placed the order, his mind was already shifting into investigative mode. Victoria's patterns had changed. Her communication style had shifted. Her spending habits showed anomalies. In corporate security, 3 anomalies constituted a pattern worth investigating. Nathan had identified at least 5, After dinner, with the kids settled into homework and evening routines, Nathan returned to his office. He opened a secure partition on his personal laptop, a digital space invisible to anyone else in the household, protected by military-grade encryption. Time to audit his own life. Digital breadcrumbs. Nathan began with their rewards programs. As a cybersecurity expert who understood the value of digital forensics, he had optimized their family's credit cards, airline miles, and hotel points for maximum efficiency. Every purchase earned points, every point was tracked, every redemption was documented. The American Express account showed a recent redemption that made his blood run cold. 500,000 points converted to 2 business-class tickets to Paris, departing May 15th and returning May 22nd. The dates matched exactly with Victoria's girls' trip to wine country. Nathan's hands paused over the keyboard. 500,000 points represented years of family spending, carefully accumulated through their mortgage payments, utility bills, and everyday expenses. Points he had personally managed and optimized. He clicked deeper into the booking confirmation. 2 passengers, Victoria Cross and Derek Thornton. Derek Thornton. Nathan knew that name. Victoria had mentioned her regional sales manager several times over the past year, usually in the context of new company policies or sales territory changes. Derek was married with 2 children, lived in Portland, and had been with Medcore Pharmaceuticals for 8 years. Nathan opened a new browser tab and navigated to Facebook. A quick search brought up Derek Thornton's profile, and more importantly, his wife Amanda's page. Amanda Thornton had posted a series of family photos during the week of May 15th, 22nd. The children at soccer practice, a family barbecue in their backyard, a mother-son shopping trip. Derek wasn't in any of the photos. Nathan created a new folder on his encrypted partition, Victoria Investigation. He began methodically documenting everything. Screenshots of the airline booking, copies of Amanda Thornton's social media posts, credit card statements showing the point redemption. Every piece of evidence was time-stamped, digitally signed, and stored with metadata intact. Nathan had learned in military intelligence that documentation was everything. Memories could be challenged, emotions could be dismissed, but data was irrefutable. He cross-referenced Victoria's company travel records through her corporate portal. No business justification for a Paris trip. No conference registrations. No client meetings scheduled in France. Nathan leaned back in his chair, staring at the evidence displayed across his monitors. His wife of 16 years, the mother of his children, had stolen 500,000 points earned through their joint expenses to take another man to Paris. But this was just the beginning. The systematic takedown. Nathan spent the next 3 days building a comprehensive digital dossier. His approach was surgical. Every search query carefully crafted to avoid detection, every piece of evidence verified through multiple sources. The hotel booking revealed the full scope of Victoria's deception. Le Meurice in Paris, honeymoon suite, champagne welcome package, couples spa treatments. The total cost exceeded $8,000, charged to a credit card Nathan had never seen before. Social media analysis painted a damning picture. Victoria's girls' trip photos were geotagged at the same locations where Derek had posted from his own accounts. The Eiffel Tower, the Louvre, a romantic restaurant in Montmartre. They weren't even trying to hide their presence in the same locations. Phone records required more finesse. Nathan accessed their family's cell phone account and exported 8 months of data. The pattern was unmistakable. 847 calls and text messages between Victoria and Derek, clustered around their business meetings and travel dates. The messaging frequency had increased dramatically after January, peaking during the weeks leading up to their Paris trip. Nathan exported the metadata and created a visualization chart that would be compelling in any courtroom. Email forensics required accessing Victoria's personal accounts. Nathan had designed their family's digital security infrastructure, which included backup protocols for all devices. Victoria had unknowingly been backing up her personal email to their household cloud storage system. The emails were devastating. Months of intimate planning between Victoria and Derek. Hotel reservations, restaurant recommendations, discussions about their respective spouses and children that made Nathan's jaw clench. Amanda suspects something, Derek had written in March. We need to be more careful about the timing. Nathan's been asking about my travel schedule, Victoria had replied. I told him it's all mandatory training. He believes anything related to work compliance. Nathan screenshotted every email, preserving the original metadata and timestamps. His military training had taught him that emotions were liabilities in intelligence gathering. Right now, he needed to be a professional investigator, not a betrayed husband. The evidence folder was growing systematically. Airline records, hotel confirmations, phone logs, email transcripts, social media posts, financial transactions. Each piece corroborated the others, building an unassailable case. But Nathan wasn't finished. If Victoria thought she could manipulate him using his professional blind spots, she had seriously underestimated exactly what he was capable of when those professional skills were turned against deception. The accomplices. Victoria's deception extended beyond Derek. Her girls' trip alibi required accomplices, and Nathan was determined to identify every person who had enabled his wife's betrayal. Rachel Morrison had been Victoria's best friend since college. According to Victoria's story, Rachel had organized the Napa Valley wine tour that served as cover for the Paris trip. Nathan accessed Rachel's social media profiles during the relevant dates. Rachel's Instagram showed her at home with her family throughout the week. Victoria claimed they were touring vineyards together. Birthday party for her youngest daughter. Grocery shopping. A dental appointment. Rachel had never left Seattle. Nathan cross-referenced Victoria's other close friends. Jennifer Walsh and Susan Kim had also provided character references for the girls' trip, claiming they would have loved to join but couldn't get the time off work. Neither Jennifer nor Susan had requested vacation time from their respective employers during the Paris dates. Nathan verified this through their company's HR systems, a simple social engineering call posing as a benefits verification service. Hi, this is Mark from Pacific Northwest Benefits Coordination. I'm processing a claim verification for Jennifer Walsh. Can you confirm her vacation dates for May 15th through 22nd? We show some conflicting information in our system. Jennifer didn't take any vacation that week, the HR representative replied. Actually, she worked overtime on the 16th and 17th for our quarterly compliance audit. Nathan documented each conversation, each social media post, each piece of evidence that showed Victoria's support network had actively participated in constructing her alibi. They weren't innocent bystanders, they were accomplices. The corporate angle required deeper investigation. Derek's expense reports at Medcore Pharmaceuticals would be protected by corporate security protocols, but Nathan had professional contacts throughout the pharmaceutical industry. Hey Marcus, it's Nathan Cross. I'm doing some due diligence research on pharmaceutical industry compliance practices. Could you run a quick check on expense report patterns for your sector? I'm particularly interested in how companies track international travel for sales personnel. Marcus Kelly had been Nathan's roommate at the Defense Language Institute and now worked as a compliance officer for a major pharmaceutical distributor. Their friendship had endured 15 years and multiple career changes. Sure thing. What specifically are you looking for? Pattern analysis on unauthorized international travel. Hypothetically, if a sales manager billed personal travel as business expenses, what flags would trigger compliance reviews? That's serious fraud territory, Nathan. If someone's billing personal Paris trips as business travel, They're looking at termination for cause plus potential criminal charges. Most companies have zero tolerance for expense fraud. Nathan absorbed this information carefully. Derek's career was built on company trust and access to medical facilities. Pharmaceutical sales required security clearances, background checks, and ethical compliance standards. A termination for fraud would permanently destroy Derek's ability to work in the industry. The final piece of the puzzle involved tax implications. Victoria had claimed their stolen points as a theft loss on their previous year's tax return, reducing their federal tax burden by $3,200. Now those same points had funded her affair. Nathan documented the tax fraud alongside everything else. Victoria's deception wasn't just personal betrayal. It was a pattern of systematic fraud that touched their marriage, their finances, their legal status, and their children's stability. Every betrayal deserved consequences. Nathan was prepared to deliver them. Corporate warfare. Nathan had learned in military intelligence that the most effective operations struck multiple targets simultaneously, preventing coordination of defenses. His approach to Derek Thornton would be systematic and devastating. MedCore Pharmaceuticals maintained strict ethical guidelines for employee conduct. Relationships between supervisors and subordinates required disclosure and approval. Using company resources for personal travel constituted fraud. Having an affair with a married subordinate violated multiple corporate policies. Nathan crafted his approach carefully. He wouldn't provide any illegally obtained information or materials that could be challenged in court. Instead, he would supply only legally obtained evidence, public social media posts, hotel receipts from his own credit cards, and his personal witness statement. Mr. Richardson, this is Nathan Cross. I'm calling to report an ethics violation involving one of your sales managers, Derek Thornton. James Richardson, MedCore's Director of Human Resources, sounded immediately alert. Ethics violations in pharmaceutical companies triggered serious corporate liability concerns. What's the nature of the violation, Mr. Cross? Mr. Thornton is having an extramarital affair with my wife, Victoria Cross, who reports to him at Global Pharma Solutions. They used points stolen from my family's credit card accounts to fund a week-long trip to Paris, which I believe Mr. Thornton may have billed as business travel. Nathan could hear typing in the background as Richardson took notes. Can you provide documentation of these claims? I'm emailing you an evidence package now. Airline confirmations, hotel receipts, social media posts from both parties during their Paris trip, and phone records showing 847 communications between them over 8 months. Everything is legally obtained and independently verifiable. Nathan sent the curated evidence package within minutes. He had prepared separate versions for different audiences: corporate HR, legal proceedings, and public disclosure. Each package contained only information appropriate for that specific context. Mr. Cross, we take these allegations very seriously. I'll initiate an immediate internal investigation. If you have additional evidence or need to provide testimony, please contact me directly at this number. Nathan's next call was to Amanda Thornton. Derek's wife deserved to know about her husband's betrayal, and Nathan needed an ally in the coming legal battles. Mrs. Thornton, this is Nathan Cross. I'm married to Victoria Cross, who works with your husband Derek. I'm calling because I've discovered some information you need to know about. Amanda's voice was cautious but not surprised. What kind of information? Your husband and my wife spent a week together in Paris in May, using points stolen from my family's credit card accounts. I have documentation proving they've been having an affair for at least 8 months. The silence on the line stretched for nearly 30 seconds before Amanda spoke again. I suspected something. Derek's been distant, working late, taking calls in the garage. Can you send me proof? I'm emailing you an evidence package now. Mrs. Thornton, I'm sorry you're going through this. If you need legal references or want to coordinate our responses, Please don't hesitate to contact me. Nathan sent Amanda a comprehensive package including hotel confirmations, social media posts, and phone records. He also included contact information for his attorney and financial advisor. 2 hours later, his phone rang. Mr. Cross, this is Amanda Thornton. I wanted to thank you for contacting me. I filed for divorce and contacted Medcore's HR department with additional evidence from Derek's personal accounts. He's been lying to both of us for months. Nathan smiled grimly. Derek Thornton was about to discover that betraying people with investigative skills and professional networks was a career-limiting decision. Financial forensics. Nathan's financial investigation revealed layers of deception that extended far beyond the stolen rewards points. Victoria had been systematically embezzling from their joint accounts to fund her affair. The secret credit card was opened in March, using Derek's Portland address to avoid detection. Nathan discovered it through a routine credit monitoring alert that Victoria thought he wouldn't notice. $23,000 in charges over 5 months, jewelry, luxury hotels, expensive restaurants, and gifts that never appeared in their household. Tiffany & Co., $3,400, Nathan read from the statement. Hotel Georgia, Vancouver, won $200 for one night. Le Bernardine, New York, $800 dinner for two. Each charge was time-stamped during Victoria's supposed business trips or late work meetings. The life insurance discovery was particularly chilling. Victoria had attempted to increase Nathan's coverage from $500,000 to $1.2 million, making herself the sole beneficiary. The application was dated 6 weeks before the Paris trip. Nathan found the insurance paperwork hidden in Victoria's home office. The medical examination had been scheduled but never completed. Victoria had apparently changed her mind about that particular strategy. Joint savings account transfers totaled $15,000 over 4 months. Victoria had moved the money to a personal account she claimed was for emergency funds. Bank records showed the funds were transferred to the secret credit card for payment. The retirement account manipulation was the most sophisticated theft. Victoria had liquidated $28,000 from Nathan's 401k, claiming financial hardship due to unexpected medical expenses. The IRS forms listed fictional dental procedures and surgical costs. Nathan traced every stolen dollar through forensic accounting techniques he had learned during corporate fraud investigations. Victoria had stolen $67,000 over 8 months to fund her affair with Derek. Money that belonged to their children's college funds, their retirement security, and their family's financial stability. His countermoves were swift and decisive. Nathan froze all joint accounts, transferring family assets to protected trusts that Victoria couldn't access. He opened new accounts at different banks, moving his direct deposits and automatic payments away from institutions where Victoria had access. Nathan contacted their financial advisor, David Kim, to quantify the total damage and create documentation for legal proceedings. David, I need a comprehensive financial analysis for divorce proceedings. My wife has been systematically embezzling from our joint accounts for 8 months. I need everything documented for court. Nathan, I'm sorry to hear about this. How much are we talking about? $67,000 confirmed, possibly more. I need you to audit every account, every transaction, every financial instrument where Victoria had access. I also need you to reverse any unauthorized changes to beneficiaries or account ownership. David's analysis would provide expert testimony for the divorce proceedings, quantifying not just the stolen funds but also the interest, penalties, and long-term financial impact of Victoria's theft. Nathan also implemented new security protocols for all family accounts. Victoria would discover that her access to their financial systems had been systematically revoked. Every credit card, every bank account, every investment platform now required Nathan's explicit authorization. Financial warfare was just the beginning. Victoria had stolen from their children's future. Nathan would ensure she paid for every stolen dollar with interest. The legal foundation. Nathan's choice of attorney was strategic. Margaret Steele specialized in high-asset divorces involving fraud and business misconduct. Her reputation for aggressive litigation had earned her recognition as one of Seattle's top family law practitioners. Mr. Cross, I've reviewed your evidence package, Margaret said during their initial consultation. In 30 years of practice, I've rarely seen documentation this comprehensive. You've essentially built the entire case for us. Nathan had provided Margaret with 847 pages of evidence spanning 8 months of Victoria's affair. Financial records, communications logs, travel documentation, and witness statements from multiple sources. What are our priorities? Nathan asked. Primary custody of your children, recovery of stolen marital assets, and ensuring Victoria faces appropriate consequences for her fraud. Your documentation makes this a very strong case for fault-based divorce with punitive asset distribution. Margaret explained Washington state's approach to marital fraud. While Washington was generally a no-fault divorce state, proven financial misconduct could significantly impact property division and spousal support calculations. Victoria's theft of $67,000 in marital assets constitutes economic misconduct that the court will consider when dividing property. She's also committed tax fraud, insurance fraud, and possibly criminal theft, depending on how aggressively the prosecutor wants to pursue charges. Nathan authorized Margaret to hire private investigator Thomas Raines for additional surveillance and evidence gathering. While Nathan's digital forensics were comprehensive, having an independent investigator would provide unbiased testimony for court proceedings. Thomas will document Victoria's ongoing contact with Derek, verify her living arrangements, and provide professional testimony about her fitness as a primary parent, Margaret explained. The custody evaluation was crucial. Nathan requested primary custody based on Victoria's systematic deception and the emotional damage her lies had caused their children. Mason and Lily had believed their mother's stories about business travel and training seminars. Learning about her actual activities would be traumatic. Courts prioritize the children's best interests, Margaret said. A parent who lies systematically, steals family resources, and prioritizes an extramarital affair over family stability demonstrates questionable judgment for primary custody. Nathan filed for temporary financial injunctions to prevent Victoria from accessing any remaining joint assets. His evidence of ongoing theft justified immediate protective measures. The injunction freezes all joint accounts, credit cards, and investment platforms pending final divorce decree, Margaret explained. Victoria will have access only to her personal income and pre-approved living expenses. Nathan also authorized Margaret to file cross-complaints for theft, fraud, and intentional infliction of emotional distress. Victoria's betrayal wasn't just grounds for divorce, it was grounds for civil damages. We're seeking full recovery of stolen funds, attorney's fees, court costs, and punitive damages for the emotional distress caused to you and your children, Margaret said. The legal foundation was now in place. Victoria would face divorce proceedings, civil lawsuits, and potential criminal charges. Her systematic betrayal was about to become very expensive. The trap Nathan scheduled the confrontation for Thursday evening at Le Bernardin, the same expensive restaurant where Victoria and Derek had enjoyed their $800 dinner during one of her business trips. The choice was deliberately ironic. Honey, we should talk about some financial planning decisions, Nathan had told Victoria that morning. I made reservations at that place you mentioned. Le Bernardin. 7 o'clock? Victoria's momentary panic was visible before she composed herself. That sounds lovely. What's the occasion? Just some year-end financial review items. Nothing too serious. Nathan had spent the day ensuring all legal protections were in place. Divorce papers prepared, financial accounts secured, children's custody arrangements documented, evidence packages distributed to relevant parties. Victoria arrived at the restaurant looking nervous but trying to project normalcy. She wore a red dress Nathan didn't recognize, probably purchased with stolen funds during one of her training seminars. "This is a nice place," she said, settling into her chair. "How did you hear about it?" Nathan smiled coldly and placed a printed credit card statement on the table. The charges were highlighted in yellow: Le Bernardin, New York. Date: March 15th. Amount: $847.22. Two persons. "You tell me, Victoria. Specifically, tell me about Derek Thornton." Victoria's face went white. She stared at the credit card statement for nearly 30 seconds before speaking. "I don't know what you're talking about." Nathan produced a folder containing airline confirmations. Paris, May 15th through 22nd. 2 business class tickets purchased with our family rewards points. Victoria Cross and Derek Thornton. The same week you told me you were touring vineyards with Rachel. Nathan, this is some kind of mistake. Hotel confirmation at Le Maurice. Honeymoon suite. Champagne package. Your signature on the registration. Nathan placed each document methodically on the table. 847 phone calls and text messages between you and Derek over 8 months. Would you like me to read some of the messages aloud? Victoria's composure cracked completely. "How did you get this information? You've been spying on me." "I'm a cybersecurity expert, Victoria. This is what I do professionally. I catch people who think they're smarter than the systems they're trying to manipulate." Nathan's voice was calm and professional. "You used our family's financial accounts to fund an 8-month affair. You stole $67,000 from our children's future. You lied to me, to our kids, and to everyone who trusted you. It's not what you think. It's exactly what I think. Derek's company has terminated him for expense fraud and ethics violations. Amanda Thornton filed for divorce this morning. Your friend Rachel, Jennifer, and Susan have all been confronted with evidence of their lies." Nathan leaned forward. "Your support system is gone, Victoria. Everyone knows what you've done." Victoria broke down completely, sobbing into her hands. "Nathan, please, we can work this out. I made a mistake." "You made 847 mistakes. Each phone call, each text message, each stolen dollar was a deliberate choice." Nathan signaled the waiter and placed an envelope on the table. "Divorce papers. You've been served." Nathan stood up, leaving Victoria crying at the table in the same restaurant where she had celebrated her betrayal with Derek. The trap had worked perfectly. The evidence dump. Nathan returned home to find Mason and Lily waiting in the living room. At 14 and 11, they were old enough to understand that their family was changing, even if they didn't understand why. "Dad, why is Mom crying in the car?" Lily asked. "She's been sitting in the driveway for 20 minutes. Nathan sat down with his children and explained the situation in age-appropriate terms. Victoria had been lying about her work travel. She had been spending money that belonged to their family on someone else. She had broken the trust that families depend on. "Is that why you built all those computer security things?" Mason asked. "Because you knew she was lying?" "I built them to protect our family. Your mother chose to use them against us." Nathan pulled up the evidence files on his laptop. "I want you both to understand what happened, because she's going to try to tell you different stories." Nathan showed them the Paris trip documentation, the stolen points, the secret credit card charges. He explained how their college savings had been stolen to pay for hotels and restaurants they would never see. "She stole our college money?" Lily's voice was small and hurt. "She stole $67,000 from our family to spend on Derek Thornton. Money that was supposed to protect our future." Nathan's voice remained steady and factual. "That's why we're getting divorced. That's why things are going to change." Mason was old enough to understand the implications. "What happens to Derek?" "Derek lost his job today. His wife filed for divorce. His access to medical facilities has been revoked. and his name is now in the industry compliance database. He'll never work in pharmaceutical sales again. Nathan's phone buzzed with a text from Victoria. Please don't turn the children against me. Nathan showed the text to Mason and Lily. Your mother wants me not to turn you against her. But I'm not turning you against anyone. I'm showing you evidence of what actually happened. You're old enough to make your own decisions about who deserves your trust. I don't want to talk to her right now, Lily said. She lied about everything. That's your choice, sweetheart. She's still your mother, but you don't have to pretend her lies were okay. Nathan's systematic exposure of Victoria's deception was designed to prevent her from controlling the narrative. By providing evidence rather than accusations, he ensured that everyone who mattered understood exactly what had happened. Victoria's support network was collapsing. Her children knew about her theft. Her lover had lost his career. Her accomplices had been exposed. Her financial resources were frozen. Nathan had methodically destroyed her ability to continue lying. Public exposure. Nathan's approach to public disclosure was surgical and strategic. Rather than emotional accusations, he provided documented evidence to specific audiences who needed to understand Victoria's pattern of deception. The pharmaceutical industry newsletter received a carefully worded article about Derek Thornton's termination for expense fraud and ethics violations. Nathan had contacts throughout the medical device and pharmaceutical sectors who relied on industry compliance information. Former MedCore sales manager terminated for expense fraud was picked up by 3 industry publications within 48 hours. Derek's professional reputation was permanently damaged in the very communities where he would need to find future employment. Victoria's company, Global Pharma Solutions, began their own internal investigation after receiving Nathan's evidence package. A pharmaceutical sales representative involved in fraud with a customer's regional manager created serious compliance concerns. Mrs. Cross, we need to discuss some allegations that have been brought to our attention. Victoria's district manager had called her Friday morning. Please report to the regional office Monday at 9 a.m. with your company vehicle, credit cards, and access badges. Nathan's social media campaign was more personal but equally devastating. He posted on the family Facebook page that friends and relatives followed. After 16 years of marriage, I've discovered Victoria has been living a double life. She stole $67,000 from our family accounts to fund an affair with her supervisor. I'm filing for divorce and primary custody of our children. The post included links to public court documents and key pieces of evidence that couldn't be challenged or disputed. Nathan wasn't seeking sympathy. He was establishing the factual record before Victoria could create alternative narratives. Within hours, the post had been shared 47 times. Family members, friends, neighbors, and community contacts all learned about Victoria's systematic deception from Nathan's documented evidence rather than rumors or speculation. Their church community received a more detailed explanation. Nathan served on the finance committee and had helped implement the church's digital security systems. Pastor Williams deserved to understand why the Cross family would no longer be attending services together. Pastor Williams, I wanted to speak with you privately about our family situation. Victoria has been having an affair for 8 months and stole significant funds from our joint accounts. I'm filing for divorce, and I wanted you to hear this directly from me rather than through church gossip. Pastor Williams was shocked, but supportive. Nathan, I'm so sorry you and the children are going through this. How can our community support you during this difficult time? I appreciate that, Pastor. I think it's important that people understand Victoria made deliberate choices over many months. This wasn't a momentary lapse in judgment. It was systematic deception and theft. The children's school administrators also needed to be informed. Mason and Lily attended Eastside Christian Academy, where Victoria had volunteered for fundraising events and parent committees. Mr. Cross, thank you for informing us about your family situation, Principal Anderson said. We'll make sure our counselors are available to support Mason and Lily during this transition. Should we limit Mrs. Cross's access to campus during the custody proceedings? I think that would be appropriate until the court establishes formal custody arrangements, Nathan replied. Nathan's neighborhood association in their affluent Bellevue community also received notification. Victoria's reputation as a community volunteer and trusted neighbor needed to be reconsidered in light of her demonstrated capacity for systematic deception. By Monday morning, everyone in Victoria's social, professional, and community circles understood exactly what she had done. Nathan had controlled the narrative through evidence and documentation rather than allowing Victoria to minimize or justify her betrayal. Victoria's reputation was destroyed before she could mount any defense. The corporate destruction. Derek Thornton's termination from Medcore Pharmaceuticals triggered industry-wide consequences that Nathan had anticipated but Derek had never considered. Pharmaceutical sales required security clearances, background checks, and spotless ethical records. Mr. Thornton, effective immediately, your employment with Medcore Pharmaceuticals is terminated for cause, HR Director James Richardson had announced Monday morning. Security will escort you from the building. Your access to all company systems, facilities, and client databases has been revoked. Derek's termination for expense fraud and ethics violations was reported to the Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers Association, PharmA, compliance database. Every major pharmaceutical company accessed this database when screening potential employees. Derek will never work in pharmaceutical sales again, Nathan explained to Margaret Steele during their legal review. His name is now flagged in every industry background check system. Companies can't risk hiring someone terminated for expense fraud. Derek's access to medical facilities was permanently revoked. Pharmaceutical sales representatives required credentials to visit hospitals, clinics, and medical offices. Derek's ethics violation had destroyed those credentials irreversibly. Victoria faced similar professional consequences at Global Pharma Solutions. Her company's internal investigation had uncovered the secret credit card, the false expense reports, and the compliance violations surrounding her relationship with a customer's manager. Mrs. Cross, we're placing you on administrative leave pending completion of our internal investigation, District Manager Patricia Hawkins had informed Victoria. Please surrender your company vehicle, credit cards, access badges, and client contact databases. Victoria's territory covered 3 states and included relationships with dozens of medical practices. Her systematic deception had compromised the company's compliance standards and created potential liability with client companies. Global Pharma can't afford to keep an employee who's demonstrated such poor judgment, Nathan explained to David Kim during their financial planning session. Victoria's commission-based income will disappear completely within 60 days. Derek's career destruction was comprehensive. With 15 years of pharmaceutical sales experience, he had earned $180,000 annually, plus bonuses and benefits. His termination for cause eliminated any possibility of positive references or industry recommendations. Derek's working overnight shifts at a medical device warehouse in Portland. Private investigator Thomas Raines reported to Nathan. $16 per hour, no benefits. His wife's divorce attorney attached his remaining assets for child support and spousal maintenance. Victoria's professional decline was equally dramatic. Without her company car, expense account, and client database access, her ability to generate income disappeared overnight. Her territory was reassigned to other representatives who maintained ethical compliance standards. Victoria is trying to find employment with smaller pharmaceutical companies, but the compliance database flags are preventing any offers, Thomas continued. She's applied for retail sales positions at department stores and grocery chains. Nathan had systematically destroyed both Victoria's and Derek's professional lives using the same industry standards and ethical requirements they had violated through their affair. Their careers were built on trust, compliance, and ethical behavior, qualities they had abandoned for personal gratification. The consequences were permanent and irreversible. Legal annihilation. The divorce trial began 3 months after Nathan's confrontation at Le Bernardin. Attorney Margaret Steele had assembled an evidence presentation that left no aspect of Victoria's deception unexplored. Your Honor, the evidence will show that Mrs. Cross engaged in systematic fraud, theft, and deception spanning 8 months, Margaret stated during opening arguments. She stole $67,000 in marital assets, lied to financial institutions, committed tax fraud, and prioritized an extramarital affair over her children's welfare. Victoria's attorney, Robert Kelly, attempted to minimize her actions as marital indiscretions and poor financial judgment. His defense strategy relied on claiming Nathan's investigation was excessive and vindictive. Mr. Cross used his professional skills to spy on his wife in ways that violated her privacy and personal autonomy, Kelly argued. While Mrs. Cross acknowledges making mistakes, Mr. Cross's response was disproportionate and punitive. Nathan's testimony was methodical and devastating. He presented each piece of evidence chronologically, explaining how Victoria's deception had evolved from simple lies to systematic fraud. Mrs. Cross didn't make mistakes, Your Honor. She made 847 deliberate communications with Derek Thornton. She opened secret credit cards, falsified insurance applications, and stole our children's college savings. Each action was calculated and intentional. Mason and Lily's testimony was particularly compelling. At 14 and 11, they could articulate how their mother's lies had damaged their trust and sense of family security. Mom told us she was at training seminars, but she was stealing our college money to go to Paris with Derek, Mason testified. She lied about everything. I don't want to live with someone who steals from our family. Lily's testimony was more emotional but equally clear. I used to believe everything Mom said. Now I don't know what was true and what was lies. Dad never lied to us about anything. Financial expert David Kim quantified the total damage Victoria's theft had caused to the family's long-term financial security. Mrs. Cross's embezzlement of $67,000 represents not just the immediate theft, but also lost investment growth, retirement security, and educational funding for the children. The total long-term impact exceeds $180,000 when calculated over 20 years. Corporate witnesses from Medcore Pharmaceuticals testified about Derek's termination for expense fraud, establishing that Victoria's affair had involved systematic business ethics violations. Mr. Thornton billed personal travel as business expenses, used company resources for personal communications, and violated our ethics policies regarding relationships with client representatives, HR Director James Richardson testified. These violations warranted immediate termination for cause. Judge Patricia Morrison's final ruling was comprehensive and unambiguous. Mrs. Cross engaged in systematic marital misconduct that included theft, fraud, and abandonment of parental responsibilities. The court awards Mr. Cross primary custody of both children, orders Mrs. Cross to reimburse all stolen marital assets with interest, and assigns attorney's fees and court costs to Mrs. Cross. Victoria's asset distribution was punitive. Rather than the standard 50-50 division, she received only 25% of marital assets after reimbursing the stolen funds. Nathan retained the family home, the children's college accounts, and all retirement assets. Mrs. Cross will pay $1,800 monthly in child support and has supervised visitation rights pending completion of counseling requirements, Judge Morrison continued. The court finds that Mrs. Cross's pattern of deception poses potential risks to the children's emotional welfare. Nathan's counter-lawsuit for damages was equally successful. Victoria was ordered to pay $35,000 in compensatory damages for theft and fraud, plus $15,000 in punitive damages for intentional infliction of emotional distress. Victoria left the courthouse financially ruined, professionally destroyed, and legally obligated to pay Nathan more money than she could earn in her new retail career. Social exile. Victoria's social destruction was as comprehensive as her legal and financial ruin. The network of friends who had enabled her affair abandoned her once Nathan exposed their complicity in her deception. Rachel Morrison, Victoria's closest friend since college, refused all contact after Nathan confronted her with evidence of the false alibi. Rachel, I have social media posts proving you were home with your family the week Victoria claimed you were touring vineyards together. You helped her lie to me for 8 months, Nathan had said during his systematic confrontation of Victoria's accomplices. Nathan, I didn't know the details. Victoria just asked me to say we were together if anyone asked. I thought it was harmless. Helping someone steal $67,000 from their family isn't harmless, Rachel. You enabled Victoria's theft from my children's college funds. That makes you an accomplice. Rachel's husband had been furious when he learned about his wife's role in enabling Victoria's affair. The Morrison family distanced themselves completely from Victoria, and Rachel blocked all contact to protect her own marriage. Jennifer Walsh and Susan Kim faced similar consequences. Their husbands were appalled to learn their wives had helped Victoria deceive Nathan and steal from his children. How could you help someone lie to their husband about stealing their kids' college money? Jennifer's husband had demanded. Victoria used our friendship to commit fraud, and you helped her do it. Victoria's pharmaceutical industry connections evaporated after her termination from Global Pharma Solutions. Her former colleagues understood that associating with someone fired for ethics violations could damage their own careers. Victoria's been calling people in the industry asking for job references and networking help, private investigator Thomas Raines reported. Nobody will return her calls. The compliance database flags make her unemployable in pharmaceutical sales. The church community that had known the Cross family for 12 years struggled to reconcile Victoria's public image with her documented deception. I can't believe Victoria stole from her own children's education fund, Pastor Williams had confided to Nathan. She served on our finance committee for 5 years. How can we trust someone who would deceive their own family so systematically? Victoria's attempts to attend church services became increasingly uncomfortable as congregation members avoided interaction. Her reputation for dishonesty made her presence disruptive to the community atmosphere. Mason and Lily refused all visitation with their mother for the first 6 months after the divorce. Their decision was based on documented evidence of Victoria's lies rather than Nathan's influence. I don't want to see Mom right now, Lily had told the court-appointed guardian. She stole our college money and lied about everything. I need time to think about whether I can trust her again. Derek's family had filed a temporary protective order after Victoria began calling and texting them obsessively following Derek's termination and divorce. Mrs. Cross called our house 17 times in 2 days, Amanda Thornton reported to police. She's blaming me for Derek losing his job and demands that I tell people their affair wasn't serious. I don't want any contact with her. Victoria's parents, initially supportive, distanced themselves after Nathan provided them with comprehensive evidence of their daughter's theft and deception. We're ashamed of what Victoria did to you and the children, Victoria's mother had told Nathan during a difficult phone call. She stole from her own baby's future. We raised her better than that. Victoria's complete social isolation was the result of her own choices. Nathan had simply ensured that everyone understood what those choices actually were. The new foundation. Nathan's cybersecurity consulting business had thrived during the divorce proceedings. His reputation for thoroughness and systematic documentation attracted new corporate clients who valued his methodical approach to digital security. Cross Digital Solutions became Nathan's full-time focus after the divorce was finalized. His expertise in catching deception and analyzing complex digital evidence made him highly sought after for corporate investigations and compliance audits. Mr. Cross, We need someone who can catch employees who think they're smarter than our security systems, explained Jennifer Martinez, CEO of Pacific Northwest Financial. Your reputation for comprehensive investigations precedes you. Nathan's client base expanded rapidly. Fortune 500 companies valued his ability to build unassailable evidence packages for legal proceedings. His work with Victoria's deception had become an unofficial case study in digital forensics excellence. Mason and Lily adjusted well to their new family structure. The stability of living with a parent who valued honesty and transparency helped them process their mother's betrayal. "Dad, I appreciate that you showed us the evidence instead of just telling us Mom was bad," Mason said during one of their evening conversations. "You let us make our own decisions based on facts." "That's how I want you both to approach problems throughout your lives," Nathan replied. "Get the facts, analyze the evidence, make informed decisions. Don't let people manipulate you with lies or emotions." Lily had struggled more with the emotional aspects of her mother's betrayal, but therapy with Dr. Rebecca Stone was helping her develop healthy coping strategies. Lily understands that her mother's choices don't reflect on her worth or her family's stability, Dr. Stone explained to Nathan. She's learning to separate her mother's behavior from her own sense of security. Nathan's relationship with Dr. Stone had evolved slowly from professional to personal. As a child psychologist, she understood the importance of transparency and trust in building healthy relationships. "I appreciate that you've never hidden anything from the children about what happened," Dr. Stone had told Nathan during one of their early conversations. "So many parents try to protect children from reality, but kids need truth to process complex situations." Their relationship developed carefully over 18 months, with both Nathan and Dr. Stone prioritizing the children's adjustment over their personal feelings. Victoria's continued decline served as a stark contrast to Nathan's success. Unable to find stable employment due to her industry blacklisting, she had moved into a studio apartment and worked retail shifts at a department store. Victoria's working at Nordstrom in the cosmetics department, Thomas Raines reported during his final surveillance update. $14 per hour, part-time schedule. She can't afford the child support payments or the court-ordered reimbursements. Nathan felt no satisfaction in Victoria's suffering, but he recognized that consequences were necessary for justice. Victoria had chosen to prioritize her affair over her children's security and her family's trust. She was experiencing the natural results of those choices. "Dad, do you think Mom will ever fix her life?" Lily asked during one of their bedtime conversations. "I don't know, sweetheart. That depends on whether she learns from her mistakes or continues making poor choices. All we can control is our own decisions and our own family." Nathan's financial recovery was complete within 2 years. The lawsuit settlements, insurance claims, and business growth had restored everything Victoria had stolen, plus additional security for the children's education and the family's future. The Cross family's new foundation was built on transparency, trust, and mutual respect. Values that Victoria had abandoned, but Nathan had maintained throughout the crisis. 5 years later, digital forensics in personal investigations requires the same methodical approach as corporate security audits, Nathan explained to the audience of cybersecurity professionals at the annual Pacific Coast Security Conference. Documentation, verification, and systematic evidence gathering are crucial regardless of whether you're catching corporate espionage or personal deception. Cross-digital solutions had become nationally recognized for excellence in digital forensics and corporate investigation. Nathan's speaking engagements at industry conferences helped establish best practices for personal security auditing. "The key principle is trust, but verify everything," Nathan continued his presentation. "Modern technology creates comprehensive digital trails that can expose any pattern of deception, but only if you know how to analyze the data systematically." The audience of security professionals took detailed notes as Nathan explained the techniques he had used to document Victoria's fraud. His case study had become required reading in several cybersecurity certification programs. Mason, now 19, was completing his sophomore year at the University of Washington, studying computer science and digital forensics. His father's expertise had inspired his career path. Dad taught me that information is power, but only if you can analyze it correctly, Mason had written in his college application essay. Watching him handle our family crisis showed me how important it is to base decisions on evidence rather than emotions. Lily, now 16, excelled in high school mathematics and was considering following her father and brother into technology careers. Her mother's betrayal had taught her the importance of personal integrity and financial security. I want to be able to protect myself and my future family the way Dad protected us, Lily had told her guidance counselor. I never want to depend on someone who might lie to me or steal from me. Nathan's marriage to Dr. Rebecca Stone had been built on the transparency and trust that his first marriage had lacked. Their relationship developed slowly, with complete honesty about their respective backgrounds and expectations. I know exactly who I'm marrying and what he's capable of, Rebecca had told her parents before their wedding. Nathan's systematic approach to life might seem intense, but it's also incredibly secure and trustworthy. Victoria's life had continued its downward trajectory. Multiple failed jobs, unstable housing, and inability to maintain relationships had left her isolated and financially desperate. Victoria's been evicted from her apartment again, Thomas Raines had reported during his annual update. She's living with a roommate in Federal Way and working food service night shifts. Still can't afford the court-ordered payments. Derek Thornton's exile from the pharmaceutical industry had become permanent. His warehouse job provided minimal income, and his reputation prevented any career advancement opportunities. Derek's still working overnight shifts at the medical device warehouse, Thomas continued. His ex-wife remarried last year. His children barely maintain contact. The affair cost him everything, and he's never recovered professionally or personally. Nathan felt no vindictive satisfaction in their continued struggles, but he recognized that permanent consequences were necessary for justice. Victoria and Derek had made deliberate choices to betray their families and steal from innocent children. They were experiencing the natural long-term results of those decisions. Dad, do you ever regret how thoroughly you documented everything? Mason asked during one of their evening conversations. Never, Nathan replied without hesitation. Your mother and Derek thought they could manipulate and deceive us because they underestimated what we were capable of when they threatened our family's security. I used every legal and ethical tool available to protect you and your sister. Would you do anything differently? I would have started investigating sooner. The signs were there for months before I began systematic documentation. Trust your instincts, but always verify everything with evidence. Nathan's final lesson for his children was the same principle that had guided his professional success and personal vindication. Expertise applied systematically could overcome any deception, protect any family, and ensure that truth ultimately prevailed over lies. Remember, Nathan told Mason and Lily during their family dinner that evening, people will try to manipulate you throughout your lives. They'll lie, they'll steal, they'll betray your trust if it serves their purposes. But if you know how to gather evidence, analyze patterns, and document everything systematically, you'll never be their victim. Trust, but verify everything. Nathan raised his glass in a toast to his children and his wife. That's how we protect the people we love. The Cross family's new foundation was built on the lessons learned from Victoria's betrayal. Expertise, preparation, and systematic verification could protect against any deception and ensure that justice ultimately prevailed. The end.